the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
I can't wait to see my family.
Members of the population hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic are now getting vaccinated across Indiana. For some people, it's a lifeline to their families. Good evening to you. I'm Mark Mullins. Today, health officials started administering the COVID vaccine at nearly 1,000 long-term care facilities in the Hoosier State. WRTV spent the afternoon at one of those facilities, and that is Aspen Trace in Greenwood. We spoke to Bruce Letch as he prepared to get vaccinated. The 91-year-old has 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandsons. He's ready to see his family without a pane of glass in between them.
My family can't come in, and I can't go out. And they can look at me through the window in my room, but that's as close as they can get. I'd like to see them in person. We can leave things here at the door, or I can leave things, they can leave stuff, but they can't come in.
Okay.
That's tough.
Officials say pharmacy teams will make 3 visits to each long-term care facility to make sure residents and staff receive their initial shot and a booster shot. The vaccination effort for residents and workers is expected to take about 12 weeks. We are waiting on more information from state officials about the next phase of the vaccine distribution. Despite the CDC's assurances that the vaccines are safe, medical professionals are working to address concerns from skeptical Hoosiers. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker shows you how those concerns are being addressed before the vaccine is made available to the public.
Nothing would make me get it, honestly.
There are a lot of people, many African Americans, who share Phoenicia Matlock's feelings about COVID-19 vaccines.
I don't know how my body's going to react to it. It just makes me nervous. It makes me scared.
A Pew poll found just 42% of Black Americans are willing to get vaccinated, despite 71% knowing someone who died or has been hospitalized from COVID. That's why many Black healthcare workers are stepping up to build vaccine trust in their communities. The U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams was in Indianapolis addressing the issue last week, and now we're hearing from Dr. Curtis Wright, President and CEO of Eskenazi Medical Group.
What's the messaging that you think is going to work to truly target and get those underserved communities to take the vaccine whenever it's available to them?
I think it's a difficult question. I think, the first step is to acknowledge, what has happened in the past.
From Henrietta Lax's cells being used without her consent for cancer research to the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, which lasted for 40 years, studying the progression of syphilis in Black men without their consent, Wright says those wrongs have been acknowledged and much has been done to prevent anything like that from happening again.
That was an injustice. But it would be such an injustice now for people to not get the vaccine, particularly minoritized individuals.
Dr. Wright and many other health professionals are working to combat a legacy they didn't create, trying to reach everyone, but especially those who are being significantly impacted by COVID-19.
I implore everyone, when it's your time, please get vaccinated. It's safe.
But he knows no matter what he says, there are still people who won't be easily convinced, like Phoenicia.
I don't feel comfortable with it. I get a bad vibe from it, honestly. Something just doesn't sit right in the pit of my stomach about this vaccine.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Well, if you have questions about the COVID-19 vaccine, you're encouraged to talk to your healthcare provider. You can also learn more about how the vaccines work and how researchers work to make sure they're safe right now on the WRTV app. Today, the State Department of Health reported an additional 43 COVID deaths in Indiana between December 19th and the 27th. That brings the total to 7,539 deaths since the start of the pandemic. Nearly 2,500 new positive cases were reported between Christmas Eve and yesterday. Hospitalizations are at 2,866. Nationwide, December is now the deadliest month of the pandemic, and the forecast for the remainder of the year is grim. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has the latest on the state of the COVID crisis across the country.
Another record-breaking day as the coronavirus surge in this country intensifies. More than 121,000 Americans are now hospitalized with COVID-19, more than ever before. The influx of patients putting hospitals under growing stress. In Los Angeles County over the past weekend, 96% of hospitals had to turn ambulances away, while others are forced to make patients wait for hours until a bed becomes available.
We're really at a very critical point. As we get into the next few weeks, it might actually get worse.
Experts fearful of another surge following Christmas gatherings and travel, with 1.2 million people flying yesterday alone, according to the TSA, the most since the pandemic began. Also raising concerns that new, possibly more contagious variant of the virus first found in the UK and now in more than a dozen countries, including Canada.
I'd be shocked if it weren't here already.
This as more than 2 million doses of vaccines have been administered in the U.S.
That feels good.
But that's far below the 20 million doses the White House task force projected by the end of this year. The administration now revising that goal.
20 million doses will be distributed to states by the first week in January. That's where we are.
Meanwhile, the Treasury Department is rushing to get stimulus checks out to millions of Americans after President Trump finally signed the COVID relief bill after days of delay. Tonight, the House passed a measure to approve the president's demand to increase those payments from $600 to $2,000. But members of President Trump's own party are opposed to sending bigger checks to Americans, so the measure is not expected to get past the Republican-led Senate. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, neither of Indiana's senators have said whether they will vote for increasing direct payments to $2,000. You can see how your representative voted on the proposal by going to the WRTV app. We're working for you to get answers about these $600 stimulus checks that are a done deal. Eligibility is based on 2019 tax returns. Full payments will go to individuals making up to $75,000. Each dependent child age 17 and under is eligible for another $600. Michael Jamison with On Target CPA says if you did not get a check in the first round of stimulus relief, you could be eligible this time.
Let's say maybe your income went down. So maybe your income was over $100,000 in 2019. So you haven't not gotten any of the stimulus checks in 2020 because of the pandemic. Maybe your income went down. Anybody who would qualify for the stimulus payment based on their 2020 tax return when it's being filed, they'll get the money when they file that 2020 tax return. So just because your 2019 information is, you don't qualify for it, you are going to get the money added to your refund or subtracted from your balance due when you file your 2020 return.
For more specific details on the stimulus bill, go to the WRTV app. Well, now to the forecast, and it is a chilly night to take a walk along the canal there. You'll have to bundle up if that's what you want to do this evening. WRTV meteorologist Kyle Mounts is in for Kevin tonight, tracking another cold day ahead. I don't know, it just doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
Yeah, Mark, you know, those temperatures today, much colder by about 25 degrees than what we had throughout the day on Sunday. So temperatures have taken a tumble, and out there tonight we're sitting in the middle and upper 20s. Now, those clouds that we had throughout much of the day, they're still sitting here, and that's what's holding those temperatures where they are right now and really keeping them from crashing down. But we're starting to clear those skies out a little bit around Kokomo and Monticello as we go through this evening. Into tomorrow morning, partly cloudy skies for us. We will start off with those colder temperatures in the lower 20s, 28 though by 10 a.m. It looks like a couple of mountains here as we check out that high temperature forecast over the next several days. We'll see numbers back in the 50s, but also some temperature falls. We'll talk about the rain and snow that comes with it in a few minutes.
Kokomo police say an officer shot a man after he showed a handgun while police responded to 911 calls about possible gunfire. It happened just after 6:30 this evening behind the Goodwill on East Markland Avenue. Investigators say the man is being treated at a hospital in Indianapolis. They did not say how badly he was injured. We will bring you updates as we learn more here. Legislation that could give homeowners more say when it comes to 5G structures in their neighborhoods will be filed this week. WRTV Investigates has been following this issue for more than a year. Many homeowners say they are blindsided by 5G technology coming right into their own yards. North Willow Farms has nearly 400 homes full of concerned residents. Verizon has already built 6 5G structures in that area and planning another 9. Many homeowners are worried about property values and potential health impacts. They took their concerns to state lawmakers, including Senator J.D. Ford. He plans to file a bill in the days ahead. If passed, Ford's bill will give homeowners a bigger voice when it comes to the placement of 5G structures and improve the notification process.
The big thing is that when you go through this process as a homeowner and you realize you don't have, there's nowhere to go to, there's no one to talk to about your concerns, there's no way to fight back. And so the fact that Senator Ford is taking this on is huge, because for us it gives us this sense of that the system works and that our elected officials are concerned, they hear the concerns of homeowners, they take them seriously.
CTIA, which represents the wireless industry, says on its website, quote, typical exposure to 5G devices such as small cells attached to phone poles or the sides of buildings is far below the permissible levels and comparable to Bluetooth devices and baby monitors, end quote. 5G structures are going up because Senate Bill 213 passed the legislature in 2017. That bill authorized a massive rollout of small cell wireless structures all over the state. Sources tell ABC News investigators are looking at a theory that the Nashville bomber may have been motivated, at least in part, by paranoia over 5G technology. Meanwhile, newly released video shows the explosion from the perspective of one of the first officers on the scene. This video is from an officer's body camera that was just issued a few days before the explosion on Christmas morning. Investigators say the suspect, Anthony Quinn Warner, blew himself up inside an RV. He was parked in front of an AT&T building in the downtown Nashville area. A woman who says she knew Warner through his father was shocked when police named him in the attack.
I would have never imagined it was, him to be involved in any of this. When I saw his picture, I was like, oh my gosh. All about his family too, because he'd always make sure if they needed anything fixed around their house or anything built, he would help. So whenever I saw him, he was always either helping or bringing stuff over.
The FBI says information from neighbors and family helped identify Warner as a suspect. The explosion injured 3 people and damaged more than 40 historic buildings. New and next, a Madison County town shows the true spirit of Christmas after a family suffered a devastating loss the day before the holiday.
It doesn't replace your veterinarian. What it does is help your veterinarian better serve you and your family member.
Coming up, the pandemic is creating a new way for pet owners to seek help for their furry friends.
Kroger, fresh for everyone.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
The community is stepping up to help a Madison County family with 3 young girls after a fire on Christmas Eve destroyed their home.
There's nothing left in my room, my fiance's room, the baby's room, part of my middle daughter's room. There's clothes, but there's so much water damage that I don't know. I don't think they can be saved.
Ashley Waldrep says the fire started in an outlet by their front door. Thankfully, no one was home at the time. Now, by organizing through social media, the town of Frankton is rallying together to help the family. Neighbors have stepped up to donate clothes, bedding, toys, furniture, and other household items that they lost. The situation would be difficult at any time of year, but Ashley says it's especially devastating during the holiday season. Thankfully, the community sprang into action to save their Christmas.
It's crazy. Everyone has been, my phone hasn't stopped going off asking what we need, but I had someone deliver 2 boxes of gifts to my parents' porch Christmas morning. Mrs. Betts made stockings for my girls and myself. So we had stockings because they were in the house. And they just made sure that they had something to open that morning.
A GoFundMe is also raising money for the family. The state fire marshal is investigating that fire. Time now for your storm team forecast. So, a lot of people out there do that one last dog walk before the night is done. And it's going to be a tough one at this hour.
Yeah, tonight and tomorrow morning, Mark. The good thing is that wind has died down a little bit. We had just a few flurries, isolated snow shower out there across the city earlier this evening. But our focus is going to turn more to rain chances here for the weekend. week ahead, and especially as we get into Wednesday and Friday. That's when we're most likely to have some, well, weather here across the Hoosier State. And you can see by the time we get through the end of the week, could add up to about 1.25 inches to maybe 2 inches of rainfall here across central Indiana. Right now, all is very quiet as we check out the view over the city. We got a temperature of 28, feels like it's in the teens, though. That wind still out of the northwest around 10 miles per hour, but a little better than the 15-mile-per-hour wind that we had earlier today. As those skies continue to clear out and the winds taper off a little bit, we'll drop into the upper teens for you by tomorrow morning in Logansport and Kokomo, 21 in Anderson, and those temperatures that'll be in the lower to middle 20s across much of the rest of central Indiana, about 23 in Bedford and 24 in Spencer. With the light wind tomorrow morning, I don't think we'll have the wind chill factor that we'll have to deal with there either. The forecast starts off with some sunshine, but pretty quickly we're going to see those clouds moving back in here around lunchtime with a temperature of 32, and we'll only get into the middle 30s as those clouds kind of put the lid on temperatures once again. 37 for your high in Bloomington, about 36 there in Park County and Rockville for your Tuesday afternoon, and middle 30s into Rushville, Noblesville at 35 degrees. Now we're going to have the leading edge of one of the systems kind of brush by central Indiana here as we go to 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. Might see a couple flurries, isolated snow showers. We are not expecting any accumulation out of that system. Most of the impacts from that one will stay off into portions of Illinois and Michigan. On Wednesday, that's when things change, but also the temperatures are going to be changing here, warming quickly through the 40s, close to 50 degrees, but it will come with fairly widespread rain here for us. And we could see about a 1/2 inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain. And this is really just kind of round one as we go through the middle of the week, because then we've got another system that's going to be rolling our way. So pretty active here as we round out 2020 and head into the new year. Temperatures back and forth. So tomorrow, layer up again. We'll have temperatures in the middle 30s. Then you'll need to coordinate maybe a lighter jacket on Wednesday, but also with the umbrella. Thursday, temporarily cooler again, a high just 37 degrees. May have a couple of showers that linger out there. And between these two systems, we may see a few snowflakes out there as well right now. I think any accumulations would be very isolated. New Year's Day, we're into the 50s here as we bring in 2021, but it will be with rain once again. And then for the first weekend of the new year, it looks like we'll dry things out, keeping it seasonably chilly, but no Arctic air coming our way with those highs in the 30s and even some 40s. Mark?
We're almost done with 2020. Last week of it. All right, telehealth has become common practice during the pandemic. Now it's not just an option for people, but for pets too. Scripps reporter Stephanie Stone shares some of the pros and cons of virtual vet visits.
The pandemic has proven we can do almost anything from our couches, computers, and phones. We've grown accustomed to all things virtual, and it seems our pets are used to it too.
Really highlights the value of something like this. And it also really highlights where society is living. So many of us, even before the pandemic, turn to Google, turn to the internet first. That's our first step in almost everything.
Dr. Sarah Michelle is the lead veterinarian for Vetster, which provides on-demand virtual care for your pet.
Consultations, meeting pet owners in their homes where they are with their pets, and helping to address urgent and preventative care health conversations to them.
The company launched in October of 2019, and while not formed because of the pandemic, they certainly evolved at the right time.
The veterinary clinics themselves are feeling a really heavy surge. With the pandemic, it's been a pretty crushing situation for them because we already, as a profession, had some staffing challenges, just not enough veterinarians for how many pets and pet owners there are.
Pet owners, she says, often have a hard time getting an appointment, or they have to wait in their cars with their animal outside of their clinic. And according to Vetster, 50% of pet owners don't even have an established home clinic.
There was a poll recently that showed 37% of American households welcomed a new pet into their home during the pandemic. Pandemic puppies are a real thing.
I think that it offers a great addition to the tools that I have at my disposal. I have my stethoscope here. Telehealth can be used very much the same way.
Dr. Douglas Kratt is the president of the American Veterinary Medical Association, which serves some 96,000 vets across the country. They've been through a lot this year, adjusting to new norms like all of us. And as in human medicine, they've had to perfect or initiate virtual options.
It doesn't replace your veterinarian. What it does is help your veterinarian better serve you and your family member.
There are, he says, some obvious challenges.
I can't hear if your dog's coughing. I can't listen to the heart. I can't listen to the lungs via telemedicine. So that wouldn't be amenable.
But he says overall, it's effective and especially worthwhile if it's with your established vet. But if you don't have one, Vetster and other businesses like it aim to help.
There are so many pets and pet owners who sometimes sit on things and aren't sure if they need to go into a clinic, really appreciate that sort of peace of mind in the middle of the night that no, you don't need to pack yourself up and get into a vet clinic. You know, this is something that you're okay to wait until the morning.
And she says they're prepared to help all animals from pocket pets to exotic and large animals. It's yet another adjustment and another pivot in 2020. I'm Stephanie Stone, reporting.
WRTV and all your brand new devices. From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
With one game left in the regular season, the Colts no longer control their own playoff destiny. Our Brad Brown looks at what needs to happen for the team to slip into the postseason.
Remember all the way back to week 1, the Colts lost in Jacksonville. Didn't seem like so much at the time other than a rocky start to the season. Well, that game might turn out to play a huge part in keeping the Colts out of the playoffs. Sunday's loss to Pittsburgh has the Colts entering Week 17 on the outside of the AFC playoff picture. Indy's 10-5 record matches 4 other teams in the AFC: Tennessee, Cleveland, Miami, and Baltimore. But all 4 of them hold a tiebreaker over the Colts.
You know, we no longer control our own destiny, but all we can do is take care of our own business. And that means learning from this film, having a good week of practice, and then finishing up the regular season with a great performance, and then hopefully we get some help.
Let's look at all 4 scenarios. The Colts fall behind Cleveland and Baltimore based on head-to-head losses. Indy lost in Cleveland back in Week 5, 32-23. The Browns could have clinched their spot yesterday, but they lost to the Jets. Go figure. As for the Colts and Ravens, again, head-to-head falls out of the Colts' favor. Baltimore won here on November 12th, 24-10. The Ravens lost their next 3 games after that, though, or they also could have clinched by now.
Yeah, I think we got to just, again, our mantra's going to come back into play again, controlling what we control and trying to be 1-0 this week, because whatever happens, they all include us winning. So we got to make sure we take care of our business, and then I have to believe that 11 is going to be enough.
The Dolphins get the edge over the Colts based on conference wins, 7-6. And the Titans get the advantage based on better division record. One glaring defeat for the Colts in both of those setups. That's right, Week 1 at Jacksonville. So the bottom line for this Sunday, the Colts have to win. If they lose, they are done for sure. But on top of a W, they need one of those other 4 teams to lose. Miami plays Buffalo. The Browns get the Steelers, division champs, as opponents for both. So maybe... But maybe is not something you want to ride your whole season on for one final game.
You think about all the scenarios. I mean, what could happen? But I mean, you think you have 11 wins. That's pretty crazy to think a team with 11 wins going to be sitting at the house. So we just hopefully we can do what we can do to find a way to get in. Hopefully we can get in and do make some damage against.
Only twice in NFL history has a team won 11 games and missed the playoffs, but it's looking a lot like at least one of the 5 teams in the chase this weekend will be joining that group. Here's an added wrinkle for the Colts. If they win on Sunday and the Titans lose, Indy clinches the AFC South Division title. They'll get a home game for the wild card round of the playoffs against one of the teams trying to eliminate them this weekend. The Colts and Titans, both games will kick off at 4:25 on Sunday. Certainly everyone keeping an eye on the scoreboard as well. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Goes through December 31st.
Skies start off bright tomorrow, but the clouds will roll back in with a high of 37 there. Temperatures jump close to 50 on Wednesday, but it comes with some rain. Another chance for some rain. Widespread, could be a little heavy for the end of the week. And then the first weekend of 2021 looks pretty uneventful, but chilly with highs in the 30s.
Hey, thanks for staying up a little later with us tonight. We'll put you to bed now. Hey, join the GMI crew tomorrow at 4:30. Have a good night, everybody.